It's a beautiful day here in Australia today. Unfortunately, it's not the same for people of Venezuela and Venezuelans in diaspora. There is hyperinflation, there is uncertainty, and there is a self-declared president in Venezuela at this moment. The West are in support of the self-declared president, while Russia, China, and Turkey are in support of the incumbent president, Nicolas Maduro. Juan Guaido declared himself as president, and now there's uncertainty for who is going to run Venezuela.
This is part of the international campaign to prevent a military intervention in a sovereign country. We don't want war, we want peace.
Venezuela is well known for its oil production. As of 2000, Venezuela exported 3.5 million barrels of oil each day. Unfortunately, at this moment, they are struggling to export 1 million barrels of oil.
Venezuela is a very rich country, got the richest, got the biggest oil reserves in the world. Unfortunately, it's dependent from oil production and have to buy all the food from the imports. The US have really effectively damaged the situation for the people of Venezuela. The government hasn't been able to purchase food and medicine. The US has created a crisis. They're sponsoring a coup d'etat in Venezuela.
The Venezuelans are hardworking people. Unfortunately, what they are going through right now is despicable. There is no food, no medication, and no social welfare. What's next for the people of Venezuela? We've got a citizen of Venezuela living here in Perth, Western Australia. So who do you think is the legitimate president of Venezuela right now?
Right now, Juan Guaido.
And why are you in support of Juan Guaido?
Because according to our constitution, he's president. Nicolas Maduro violated the constitution in July last year when he called for elections, even though that he didn't call for a referendum.
And what do you think is the solution to the crisis in Venezuela right now?
There is a party trying to remain in power, which is Nicolas Maduro. They have to leave power, let the humanitarian help get into the country, and then let us be a free democracy.
At this juncture, United States of America and Europe are in support of the self-declared president in person of Juan Guaido. But China, Russia, and Turkey are in support of Nicolas Maduro. What's your view about this?
Well, it's obvious that China and Russia have their interests because of the oil in the country.
Are you in support of military intervention in Venezuela?
If it is the last resource, yes, because we need to get back our democracy.
Are you sure about this decision? Because we've had military interventions in Libya, military interventions in Syria, but it has not been well and good for the people.
And right now there's people dying in my country and starving to death. So it's like at the end of the day, if this needs to happen in order to stop all the murders, yeah, go ahead.
I'm here because I'm really concerned about what's happening in Venezuela. The US pick for president of Venezuela. To me, the people who should decide who the government of Venezuela is the Venezuelan people, not the US, not Australia, not the United Kingdom. This crisis in Venezuela is real. It is being driven in part by the sanctions, the economic war that the US has been waging on Venezuela for quite a long time. And now they set up a pretense that they want to go in with humanitarian aid. And their humanitarian aid is a pittance.
Back in May last year, I witnessed the democratic process of electing President Nicolas Maduro. The opposition in Venezuela called to boycott the election. However, 9 million people voted in the election and 6 million voted for Nicolas Maduro. This campaign in Venezuela started years ago when the United States have imposed all this economic war on Venezuela. So this is bad for democracy, it's bad for the people of Venezuela, it's bad for the people of the world.
I'm here to oppose American intervention. Trump's electoral campaign insults people of Latin America, and yet now we're supposed to believe that he and his government wants to help the people of Venezuela by imposing blockade, by choosing a president by sending troops to the border. Western countries have just accepted it. We don't accept it.
For the first time, the U.S. has imposed economic sanctions against Venezuela. The Trump administration banned trades of Venezuela's debt, prohibiting President Nicolás Maduro's government and state-run oil company from selling new bonds to Americans or U.S. financial institutions. The move comes after months of unrest in the South American country, which has left more than 130 people dead. Barring Venezuela's debt purchases could cripple the Venezuelan government's ability to pay off interest on its growing national debt.
The Venezuelans living here in Perth, Western Australia, they don't want any military intervention in their country. All they want is peace. Russia, China, and Turkey are in support of Nicolás Maduro. We don't know what's going to happen next. We're just going to cross our finger and hope for better. Thank you. And I am Tony ETC reporting for Undercurrent.